You just pause for one sec.
Yeah, go.
Good to
All
go.
right, and here we are. We are back again. I got my buddy Wheels here. Jay Wiele is joining us from Vaughn Hockey, and we're going to get a little rundown on some of the new SLR4 line. Wheels, what's going on, buddy?
I'm doing great, pal. Always good to see you, as always,
Same.
and happy to be here.
Thanks. So, very excited. Obviously, a lot of gears sort of starting to get out there now. We have our stuff in store already. I'm enjoying some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today myself in my own bag, in my own games. What are your just initial thoughts so far coming out? How it's been received, and how you're feeling about SLR4 as a whole?
Yeah, it's been pretty exciting overall, I would say. From the time when you get as a sales rep your samples, then in the store showing you guys, and then getting the stuff on the ice, and you guys getting the product in the store. It's kind of a built up kind of different points in time of excitement. But the validation is when guys get it on the ice. So I have locally been on the ice with a bunch of, goalie instructors, OHL draft pick, AAA kids that play single A and below. And the consensus has been very good. And that's an exciting thing for us. I've skated in the stuff myself. We talk about it many times. We talked about it in the past, whereby when we're on the ice for the first time and we have zero issues and we like what is happening, like the rebounds, like the sliding, like our butterfly and thigh rise not colliding. We're happy about it. And
Yeah.
nice to see sets coming into the stores, like the sets you guys got and other dealers. So it's really nice to see the different colorways. But yeah, all positive for the most part.
Yeah, the pucks are staying out, and that's at least a good start.
Yeah,
Do we want to
exactly.
maybe take a quick look at the pads and maybe see some of the newer features, some of the little changes that have been made? I think
So
if we go SLR3 to SLR4, probably not a drastic change, but certainly a couple little things.
yeah, not a drastic change, but definitely some changes for the better. First and foremost, we can start off with carbon core technology. So the core has changed. We've got a core that's going to produce bigger rebounds, as we've talked about in the past. That's what we kind of are striving for. We've got a much thinner core. So we're talking about the top and the thigh rise. We're a little bit thinner inside and outside, obviously. So when we're talking about kind of dropping down in our butterfly, we're getting less colliding with our thigh rise.
Nice
Obviously,
and
new
thin, looks
integrated
like
knee
it
back.
stays out of
So
the way.
that's exactly right. So we've got less friction going down when we're dropping down in the butterfly. We're going from here to here. And that is definitely effective when we're talking about younger kids. And
Hmm.
just, I mean, I noticed it right away. I thought, you know what, this is a 34-2. When I was on the ice, I thought, it felt big. It's a straighter pad, obviously, as we've talked about. But I had no issues. And I think that was mostly due to the fact that this is thinned out. Knee stack integration into the core. So we're talking about a more stable knee stack. So when we are dropping down, this is stiffer, which is quicker response time in terms of getting to the ice when we're dropping down and we're going from our stance to the ice. That was in the SLR3. It's improved in this and pretty great feedback. I wouldn't say it's like the stiffest of the stiff, but it's definitely a stiffer knee stack overall. We've integrated a flat boot. So the flat boot we kind of brought in the V10, and we've kind of brought that in as well into the SLR4.
So sits right on top of the skate.
Exactly. Sits on top of the skate. Pad sits slightly taller. And then as we drop down, we've got less friction when we're dropping down and better attack angle, obviously, because we are getting to where we need to go with the toe and the blade of our skate. And quick slide in the boot channel. Again, a minor tweak, but a tweak for the better.
Very,
Stock,
very wear resistant.
100% wear
Yeah.
resistant, the toughest material that we do make. And then we look at the leg channel. We're talking RRC plus straps. So we've got two anchor points, which was the case in V10. And we've got the ability to anchor on the outside of the calf wrap, or if we want to anchor on the inside of the calf wrap, we can do the same. So if you want that ultra tight kind of connection, you can get that. Call outs to be made with SLR versus Velocity is we've got a bit of a wider leg channel and our anchor points are a little bit wider. So we've got our loop attached to the outer calf wrap, inner loop to the inside of the calf wrap, whereas on Velocity 10, we're talking about just anchor points are on the leg channel on the inside setting. Quite honestly, there's most goalies I find like it on the outside. We can still wear this pad. We could take this bottom Velcro strap off We can take it right out, and you can still put this on the inside of the pad to act as that professor strap or RRC strap as you would have worn in the past. And in custom, you can order the SLR3 or the V9 padded RRC strap, which if you like that connectivity and that kind of version of that strap, that's something that can be done.
Yeah.
Overall, we've just got a pad that is more balanced. We'll talk about elite goaltenders. I haven't had an elite goaltender say to me that they didn't like the pad, which
Right.
is good.
So at least it's checking out. Certainly nothing that's holding anything back or nothing that's standing out where they go, oh, we need to change this.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm open to that. I mean, we're all open to that. We like to pick things apart.
Yeah.
That's how we get better. That's how we tweak this or we tweak that. I think we have a winner for sure. I think when we go custom or we talk about different custom options like that old RRC strap SLR3 or V9 that we can put in, or stiffness in the thigh or boot, and making this pad super stiff or even softer for those that need it softer. I think we have a great pad. And I also think the team did a great job on this graphic. Like the graphic options, your sets are in the store. I think they look phenomenal.
There's some definite versatility there. There's a lot of spots to really, if you want to go, a balance of colors. I mean, even that's a 4-color pad. Sometimes putting 4 colors on a pad is not always going to work out. But there's enough differentiation in where the graphic lays up and how it sort of pieces together that you really can. And even on a 2-color, you can still get that pad to really pop and stand out nicely.
A couple other quick call outs for this pad. On the spec sheet and on our customizer, we've got the ability to remove our stock kind of knee channel here and just go with a gutted or what we call half open or completely open leg channel where it's all nylon all the way through. Half open has the laced in outer flap for those who like to go behind the knee, and then completely open would just be for those who want to go down here. This piece is removed and it's nylon all the way through.
Yeah, customization has always been a strong suit with Vaughn, of course. So it's always going to be something that people are going to be able to get, which just makes the total package even that much easier. Even if there is something you don't in particular love about just the straight up stock layout, there's always little things you can do. You can sort of make that pad your own, and you can always kind of tweak it the way you need it to be.
Yeah.
Maybe if we want now, I think the most exciting thing for me is probably the introduction of the SLR4 trapper, catcher, however we want to call it. I think I've finally gotten my wish here from Vaughn, and is that they introduce basically what's always been their XP version of a catcher into a main line of gear. So that way it's more of a stock option where it's I think one of the best feeling gloves that Vaughn's made in a very long time, but it's always been this sort of secret glove that a lot of goalies maybe just can't access because they don't even really know it's there. So let's talk maybe a little bit about, well, two great catch angles that are available on both, but maybe we'll start with the I guess we'd call it the XP60 version first.
So I think when we were trying to kind of come up with where we were going to go with our SLR4, the SLR3 being at a 50 or 55 degree break just brought that break kind of towards the fingers. So if you had a smaller hand, it wouldn't necessarily work as well. If you had a larger hand, it worked for you for sure. But we kind of wanted to kind of take a look at what is the most popular. Again, you're right. This was a V8 XP in a prior version and a V9 XP. We're talking Pro Carbon, obviously, in a prior version. And then we have here the SLR4 that we made some minor tweaks to. But again, it's that 60-degree break that we've all kind of become familiar with for a long, long time. And just a glove that when you put this glove on, there's just a comfort zone when you throw this glove on. And the build on this glove and the closure on this glove is fantastic. Again, it's a glove you throw off the shelf, you throw it on your hand, and you're like, yeah, this feels like home. And we've talked about it in the past. Like I think probably one of the most, if not the most common break kind of glove in terms of design out there.
Yeah.
And that's probably
throughout the industry.
Throughout the industry, 100%. So this is the stock slim single, 60-degree, very much in the middle of your palm, kind of that baseball feeling type closure, in my opinion. A very easy glove to use. And then we've kind of redefined the backhand where it's just a little more functional, a little more protective. And then the anchor points and the strapping on the inside of the glove kind of stays the same in terms of across our fingers, across the back of our hand, and across our wrist. So again, pretty common strapping, but I don't crank the wrist strap. I crank the one behind my hand and a little bit on the back of my fingers and kind of let my wrist float. But definitely my favorite version of internal strapping for us on any glove. What the team did as well is we've got a Velcro thumb loop. Gone are the Clarino lace, or the Clarino ties, which have been around for a long time. And then we've got an adjustable Velcro thumb loop. So
yeah, I was actually playing around with that a little bit on some of the stock ones. I always like to put my hands in them and just to make sure that everything is moving smoothly. And then just was able to, and I really like the old school thumb loops and pinky loop. I like those to feel pretty snug. I think sometimes if they're loose, you don't get the connectivity. And I was just playing around with that, and you can really get in there. You can really get that to really sit nice against the thumb. I think it was a really cool ad.
I agree with you, and it's a
simple
thing. It's a simple thing and a small thing. I think it's something where goalies, especially younger goalies and parents, left those old Clarino. They just left them alone. Whereas now, like, you can actually customize something with a Velcro, so you can make it wider, you can make it that circumference wider, you can make it tighter, and then it's a simple Velcro closure. And quite honestly, when a younger goalie is putting their thumb in there, that helps you close the glove. So that is
maybe one thing I do want to mention is so SLR4 all the way down has that 60 degree break for all those catchers. So even in your intermediates and even in your juniors, one thing I noticed right away is how amazing these do close.
Yeah, absolutely. 60 degree is the stock version in senior pro, right? So import pro, intermediate, junior, and youth. And again, that is a 60 degree break. Great glove. Again, massive popularity on that glove break, and they close very well off the shelf.
And then so we've also got a second break available on this glove, more so of a slight custom. I know we've added it to our inventory, just available in store for people to try and for people to order. But so we've also got what I believe we're calling our 70 degree angle.
Yep, exactly. So 70 degree, we'll talk about the glove in itself first. So it comes stock with that slim single that we talked about. When you look at that palm break angle, it's closer to the thumb, and then we get the closure, and we get a little bit of a fold over here. And we're just kind of folding over more so than we were with the 60 degree break. So again, popular, good feedback. We went with this tee just to kind of make that more traditional look. And then same backhand, pinky loop specs, that way kind of stay the same.
So that slightly more upright break angle, pair that with the pocket, basically the tee being attached slightly up more to the finger side. Correct. It lets that even fold farther. So that's what's giving it that ability to go there.
Yeah, you can really see it here as we kind of are holding the glove out as we would in our kind of open glove position.
Yeah.
And we can kind of see the glove folding over and that tee kind of pointing upward a bit. So I like it a lot. I think should probably call it the fact too, when we go back and we grab our stick and we're actually grabbing it this way, it actually
over the stick, not under
over the stick, right? Over the stick, old school, under the stick. It actually aids us and kind of helps us when we're grabbing it this way. So again,
because so much of that glove is closing over, you get a lot more of that glove to grab onto the top of the paddle, the shoulder, wherever you're grabbing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the if you know glove.
100%. And we've talked about it multiple times in the store. You know, which version now do we like the most? You know.
Yeah. And what about the blocker?
Well, blocker, again, a change for us in that this was the blocker board and the blocker design. You can see how wide it is here. It's an XP board. So the XP blocker was an option in our lineup with SLR3. And it was a blocker that a lot of pros used, actually. A lot of college goalies and OHL goalies. Full carbon in the face, larger board, more HD, stiffer sidewall, and just a blocker for us that has the most pop. If you're ever going to feel shots, not that we really feel them through a blocker, you're not really going to feel shots through this blocker. It's beefy. Open cuff, In the back, XP blocker, which was the original, had a 360 cuff. This is, again, maybe more of a velocity type shape in terms of the flare. The feedback I get in this blocker is that it's poppy, and that's kind of the goal, I think, trying to get rebounds and direct our shots to the corner. But yeah,
Sure,
definite
make them
winner.
lively, let them send pucks out.
Yeah, exactly. So definite winner, I think, for us. And when we're talking glove blocker pads, we've got 3 great pieces of equipment.
And maybe we'll take a look now at one of the pieces I'm actually wearing right now, and something we've done our own sort of custom versions of as well in our store is the arm and body.
Okay, so we have the SLR4 Pro Carbon chest protector here in one of the colorways that you guys have in store. So it's looks fantastic. I believe this is the chest protector that you're wearing, if I'm not mistaken.
Sure is.
A few changes we should call out. The arm has been redesigned, so the oval kind of Ventus cap is now gone, and we've kind of got that overlapping two-piece, what we'll call maybe a more common design, but I think it presents a little bit larger. I feel like the oval cap is still underneath. There still is the oval cap underneath, but we've got the overlap, which gives a little bit more protection. So kind of a design for the better. Your particular units, these black units in store, have 1/4 inch LD underneath forearms and the biceps. So they are beefed up. So you are going to feel less in terms of stingers, and it's going to last a little bit longer. In terms of the overall silhouette and the design, as you can see kind of in the front, in the chest and the shoulders, we've got 3 anchor points in the shoulder. So we can move these shoulder floaters to the outer, and we can move the belly adjustment or the body adjustment to the second and really open it up to get it off of our neck where we are looking, side to side with or without a dangler. And then obviously presenting ourselves a little bit larger as well by them being on the outer loops.
I think I have done that for a lot of goalies who have tried it on. I try as much as I can to let's try to widen ourselves out a little bit, even if it's just a visual thing. But also, yeah, free up a little bit of that space for anybody who needs it.
We've got our pillows in behind our shoulder floaters, which are adjustable with Velcro. We can move them, out. They can stay straight underneath, and then we've got a lot of adjustability in terms of the floaters up here. So these pillows can actually be moved up and create a little more presence. We talked about that, I believe, with SLR3. It's a very similar design. Or we can have it a little bit more streamlined and a little bit lower. But the whole design of this unit is to, again, give us a little bit more presence above the shoulder.
So I think the one thing that what you're trying to say is what's really nice is there's not much like padding protection to it. It's a bit of a dampener if you do get hit, but you're able to move those up and down, and as you do, it sort of peaks that shoulder floater almost up a little bit to give that little bit of extra. And if you find it's too much, you can sort of slide it down a little just so everything sits a little more flat on top, right?
Bang on, 100%. And the top portion here does have some HD in it. So when we do want to rise that up, it's got a little bit more structure to it. And again, these are to reinforce the main floaters, like you just said. And, I tend to move mine down a little bit personally, but I've seen it worn all different ways. But as you can see here, just kind of gives us a little bit more. You can see that on this side, whereas on this side, it's a little bit more streamlined. Another call out for sure would be the rib portion. This has been redesigned. So we've got these, we'll call them pillows just for a better wrap. This is actually quite a nice upgrade to what the SLR3 was in that particular position. We should definitely just talk about the snaps and the arms and the shortening of the arms and how great that system is. We've got the arms shortened in the shortened position here right now.
Yep.
Where the snaps, when we unsnap them, we lengthen the arm.
So essentially there's just some loose material folded up inside. You undo the snaps, the arm can drop down a little bit just to give you that added length that you might need. Might be good for a growing goalie, or the ability also is too for anyone who's not. You can shorten that arm up just to keep it off the glove. You can give yourself a little bit of a customizable feature there.
And we've talked about it in the past as well, but we've got the ability to tuck. We've got the ability to kind of half tuck.
Yeah.
And then not tuck at all. So kind of, being a tucker myself, I find this absolutely simple to tuck because this flap is sewn on the inside.
Yeah.
So the part that kind of comes down the center of your stomach to your jock or Jill is on the inside. So
yeah.
it's very easy to tuck.
I think the one thing that stood out to me right away, even just trying on some of the samples that you would have brought more like in the fall, when we were able to try stuff on initially is how comfortable it is and how well it really wraps around the body, nice and snug. If that's your particular feel, like this is probably going to be one that would work for you. And I tuck my chest protector in as well and very easily done. Again, exactly. You loosen up the pant a little so you get everything in there. There's no interference with anything else. Works really well with the pant, doesn't jam in with anything, and just like, yeah, just sits on the body really, really nicely.
Yeah, and I think the piece of equipment that people, not to say that people have the most trouble with in terms of trying to, oh, I'm getting a new chest protector. Which one am I not going to feel the most awkward in? Really, I
Hmm.
feel like this is one you put on and it just works.
All right, well, moving right along, since we're talking about chest protectors and tucking them into pants, let's have a quick look at the new SLR4 pant too. Another item that I've been wearing quite comfortably, quite well for the past couple of months.
Again, we've just got our more roomy fit pant with an
Mm,
internal belt. So for those of us who tuck, we might take that internal belt out. But we're talking about just a baggier, roomier pant that kind of gives us the ability to do whatever we want to do.
hmm
We're talking double hip pads right here, which that's really a vulnerable spot I found in pant where the thigh protection kind of comes up to the hip protection, and we just doubled it up, and we doubled it up on SLR3. It's doubled up on V10, and really these pants are bomb proof in my opinion. I've never felt a stinger
hmm
in these pants, and they're just awesome. When you kind of pair it with the actual thigh protection, it's a little bit wider than it was in the past. We've got nice little pillow on the inside. And then when you pair that, when we look at the inside with these hip pads on the inside, which is, it's kind of tough to see, but these things are so beefy and just create such great post integration. It's part of the reason why I think some guys gravitate to this pant. I think the overall loose fit, and I just feel like a pant that, again, you just don't have to worry about. Like, you put it on, you're a tucker, there's room. If you're not a tucker, there's an
Yeah,
internal
yeah.
belt.
So it's
And
an interesting thing to think about. How do your pants help you, like you said, with post integration? How in a RVH where maybe sometimes a goalie might be playing where you might be off the post a little bit, and actually like that, there's a pant out there like this that may actually, because of the way the hip padding is structured, may actually help you seal that hole that otherwise is a hip in, maybe on something else.
yeah, and again, like, you're absolutely right. And we're just talking about stock pants. Like, guys are wearing these pants as they are because the design is so fantastic for all situations. RVH, when you're in the butterfly, you can actually take this internal belt out of that front loop, so it's just anchored in the back, and you can still utilize the belt on the front and create room for your jock, right? So if it's not, you
Mm.
don't loop it through this
So
front
take it
loop.
out of the two front flaps and
Correct.
just use it completely inside.
Yep. So you're attached at the back, and then it just kind of comes across you this way,
Nice.
in front, and then the chest protector can fit in here. A great pant, quietly probably the most popular pant at any pro level,
Hmm.
that no one knows, but it's fantastic.
Yeah. It is
Yeah.
always tricky when you look at things like chest protectors and pants and how successful you guys are. But obviously, pants are behind the pads and chest protectors are under the jerseys. So sometimes it's a little bit tougher to tell just what everybody is wearing out there. Yeah, I think
Exactly.
overall it's a great line, whether we're talking about the pads or the gloves, the chest protector, the pants. I think everything really came out nicely. It's come out well designed, well thought out, I think too, and everything's sort of put into place properly in the way that goalies want to play. Everything is set up to make the saves we want to make, to generate the rebounds we want to generate, and it's sort of a 360-degree, fully developed line. I think maybe in previous years it's taken a little bit to get exactly where we are today, and SLR maybe has sometimes been, when you compare it to velocity, it's always sort of been the little brother in a way. I really think it stands alone as its own full and complete line that goalies can really love and really utilize.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we had it. It's kind of grown in popularity as the generations have come out. And I think if you look at pro college levels, European pro levels. I think we talked about it in the last video, but it's definitely more of a split SLR to velocity, where in years past it was velocity dominant. So yeah, two great lines, nice differentiation between the two lines.
Maybe we can touch just a little bit on V10, and maybe even kind of what I wouldn't mind touching on a little bit is if you really had to sort of nail down a few of the key differences that a goalie's going to find wearing a V10 pad, wearing an SLR pad, or even to the SLR glove to the V10 glove. What are some of the things you're really going to notice?
Again, we looked at the pad shape on the SLR4. We've got a little bit more of a pre-curve pad here, right? So typically, the pad with knee rolls, or what we used to call the hybrid pad, that's a kind of an old term, was a little bit more of a pre-curve pad with a little more flex in the pad when we're talking about dropping down on a butterfly, and kind of the actual flex this way. So I'll just back it up to V9, because this V10, when we brought it out, we stiffened the core. So HD and carbon, we made this core more stout, so it will become softer less quickly. It'll stay stiffer for a longer period of time. So stiffer from the break below the knee up to the thigh, a more rigid core in terms of torsional flex. But we incorporated the flat boot, which we see here. Again, quick slide, pad sits taller. But I would just say the real call out would be the curvature, which you can see here. We've got a more of a curved pad. And then in the leg channel, we've got RRC plus straps and just a little tighter fit on the inside, if we're going to go to the inside, with our Velcro tabs. So we're talking about right here, we've got our connection, which is in line with the leg channel, instead of being connected to the inner calf wrap and then the looping on the outer calf wrap in SLR. So more connectivity. We've got basically two calf wraps. We've got an outer calf wrap, calf stabilizer, inner calf wrap, and just a pad that can be worn tighter. For those goalies that like a bit of curvature in their pad and want a pad that is going to maintain its rigidity longer than any prior version that we made, this was the start of that, and continues with the SLR flank.
They move well. They land really nice. Obviously, yes, the shape is probably the biggest difference, and just that slight difference in feel. Pad has a little bit more play to it overall. But I think there's definitely goalies out there who are looking to be completely straight up in position, perfect placement, boom, drop down. That's kind of your SLR. The goalie who's going to move around a little more, probably going to scramble a little bit, might benefit a little bit more from, like you said, a little bit of that torsional flex, a little bit of that play, a little more bend to the pad, just to give them those things as they're moving around in slightly different ways than a more structurally sound goalie, let's call it.
Exactly. You hit it. You hit the nail on the head, and that's exactly right. So those more acrobatic or whatever we want to call it, the connectivity to this pad might benefit them. The slight curve to the pad might benefit them. We've done a nice job in differentiation between the two lines. Yeah, this pad did well for us for sure. And then when we're talking gloves, we're talking different break angles. So we're talking about an angle that kind of comes a little bit closer to your fingers, but still sits in the middle of your palm, just a little bit, call it a 50-degree break. And then we're talking about kind of a shorter cuff box here. So we're measuring from here to here, we're talking shorter area, and then that creates space to make a larger catching area. We've got a bigger glove with, not to say more of a traditional break, but more of a break that goes towards your fingers and presents itself in a massive way. So when we're closing this glove, there's less fold over like we saw in the XPs and in the SLR4, but it is a big glove. There's a lot of catching area there.
Yeah, it does stand out, I think, when you do see it, just how much palm there is. And maybe what's lost is how you have to do that, because you still have to maintain the 45-inch circumference. So maybe shortening that cuff a little bit just gives that little bit of extra.
Exactly. And then hybrid double T is stock, which we've seen in the past. Tons of protection in the backhand, not the floating cuff that we see in the SLR4 and in the prior XP gloves. So, comparable maybe to the V9 Pro Carbon glove, which was the two-piece glove. Definitely a better feel than that glove, but that glove presented itself in a big way as well. Super well received. I know when you guys got your sets, you were a fan, and most, most goalies like this glove. I think again the XP or the SLR4 is more user friendly in terms of the smaller hand, but this is the masses
Mm-hmm.
like this glove as well. So
Yep.
it's a good it's a good problem to have. We got
Yeah,
three
I knew
really
when
great
I
gloves.
ordered my set last year, I knew what I wanted to do was just get as close to stock as possible. There's
Right.
a couple little things that I like. I did a single T on mine and things like that. But I wanted to wear the V10 as it comes because obviously that's more of the stock offering. That's what I'm going to be showing guys more often. We already
Exactly.
had. I knew what the XPs felt like. I knew what some of the others felt like. And yeah, just about right out of the gate, even though, like you're saying, it is a little further down the palm. I don't have great big hands, but I've had a good time using that. I do enjoy mine, and I've had no issues that way.
Yeah, exactly. And again, we offer, because we are a custom company, we offer, and you guys had them in store and continue to have them in store. We offer this in 60
Hmm.
and 70 as well. So it can be done in custom if you want that glove and you're doing V10 pads with a V10 graphic and you want the V10 graphic on your glove and blocker as you should. It can be done in the XP gloves as
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
So,
It
and
it
again, in year two, there's custom options for graphics. You
yes.
guys did a bunch as well, and they look fantastic.
Yeah, they really turned out amazing. We did some bottom swirl. We did some sort of legacy look, old school designs as well that I think really turned out nicely. Customers are talking about them. There's people sharing images online and people losing their minds over how cool they all turned out. So yeah, kudos to Sean on that one. Yeah, he came up with the color combos and what we wanted to do there, and I think they all turned out. I think they all turned out amazing.
Yeah, yeah. We Sean and I went back and forth. We'd mock them up and send 5 to 10 each, and he'd send 5 to 10. Like, okay, let's get the order in now, Sean. And we got them in. And it turned out fantastic. They
Yeah.
they really did, and you guys do a great job with us on that stuff and everything with us. And yeah, everyone, there's a buzz, which is nice.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
mean it's looking like it's going to be another great year for Vaughn. I think like I said, what was already part of the line is continuing on and doing fabulously as well. All of the new things that are coming in are checking all the boxes in terms of the things we want to see and the things that goalies are looking for. So I'm looking forward again as we start to see goalies finishing tryouts, entering their training for the summer, going into their training camps as they prepare for next season. We'll see a lot of goalies coming through and enjoying these
Yeah,
products.
just again,
Uh,
just trying to please the masses with producing something that's going to work for most, if not all.
yeah, well, it looks like you guys have done it. It should be another great year. Jay, thanks again for joining me. We got to take a look at a lot of really cool stuff, and hope we'll see everybody in the store soon and checking out some of this great new gear
Great. Thanks for having me, pal. We'll talk to you soon.
anytime.